Daybreak with Drew Steele on 92.5 Fox News.
I'll be honest about Joe Biden's budget, which is his plan. It's insane. He wants to spend $7 trillion of money we don't have. As a country, we only raise about $4.6 to $4.8 trillion a year. He wants to spend $7. This is like in anybody who at home, if you make $4,000 a month and you spend $5,000 a month, you got a problem. If Joe Biden was your husband, he would say, honey, I know we only make $4,000 a month, but let's spend $7,000 a month. You know that does not work.
For Democrats, it works, though, and that seems to be the problem. And quite honestly, for some others, that was our Congressman Byron Donalds just the other day, and he's joining us right now on Daybreak 92.5 Fox News. That was some pretty good audio right there. First of all, how are you this morning, sir?
Doing good, Drew. How you doing?
Yeah, you know but it is true. I'm amazed at how many people, and look, you say Democrats, and it's easy to talk about Joe Biden and how the administration is looking at spending and what they're doing, but even as other people do as well, it's amazing to me how people don't want to live under a budget. They just don't want to have margin in their life. And then when asked about why they don't, I think a lot of the answers are, well, I'm not worried about it because if anything happens, I don't know, somebody will bail me out. Maybe it'll be the government. And they're right. That's the problem.
Yeah, unfortunately, that thought process is right. That's because up here, Drew, well, two things. One, Milton Friedman said it better than anybody. There's 4 ways to spend money. The most inefficient way to spend money is to spend other people's money on other people. That's what we do up here. So that's why there's little care or concern for how the money is spent, as long as you spend it to look good politically.
Yeah.
That's the big issue. That's number one. But number two, and more importantly, we have a real problem with allowing failure to exist in the United States. Like if you talk to the guys who created the big companies that we all think about when we think about corporate America, virtually all of them will tell you they could not start their business today that they have started that has become like one of the titans of American industry. They couldn't do it today because of this culture of blocking failure from the political left. It happens too much in Washington, D.C.
Yeah. And not only that, I might even add to that. It's funny you brought that up because I thought this was an interesting exchange, and I don't know if you heard this with the CEO of Starbucks who was there on Capitol Hill and Bernie Sanders and other senators questioning him. And one of the things that he said, and to your point, I'm just going to play a small clip of this, and I want you to check this out.
The last thing you said, and it's been said many times by the chairman, I just want to make a point of that. This monarch of billionaire, let's just get at that, okay? I grew up in federally subsidized housing. Let me finish. I grew up in federally subsidized housing. My parents never owned a home. I came from nothing. I thought my entire life was based on the achievement of the American dream. Yes, I have billions of dollars. I earned it. No one gave it to me. And I've shared it constantly.
Senator Cassidy.
People
and there's Bernie Sanders to jump in. He's got to shut him down. He can't let him talk about this. But it's true. And to your point, how many people know that even you say what you will about the politics of Starbucks, but where he started from, and how many people really truly believe now that they can do this the way he did it in the way that we are in this country. And to your point, I think people struggle with that.
No, they do. I think like the political left, they've actually done a great job of demonizing. Well, I mean, they call it bootstrapping, but demonizing when somebody uses ingenuity, intelligence, innovation, and creation, and they make money as a result. But Drew, that's what's created the American economy that everybody says is the envy of the world. You only get to that if not only do you allow people to rise, but then you don't strip it from them when they do achieve. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I never heard them take away Tom Brady's Super Bowls saying, oh, it's not fair. He's got 7. Some other quarterbacks need 1 too. They don't do that. Tom Brady earned that. Respect is due to that man. They don't try to rip down his credentials and his achievements because he achieved too much. But in our economy, the Democrats want to rip down achievement. In their mind, all the billionaires pass that money on from their parents and from their grandparents. The truth is, most millionaires and billionaires in the United States earned it. They did something in our economy. People transferred their money to that person's company for something in return.
Right. Yeah. Congressman Byron Donalds joining us on Daybreak 92.5 Fox News. I know your time is short this morning. I know you got a lot of things going on. But Representative Jamal Bowman, I think you've even had a moment in time where you had a conversation with him. I call it a conversation. It was really more about him almost yelling at you. It seems like this is something that the congressman does often. And then we had that audio we played a little earlier. He basically just became unhinged in the halls of Congress there, going after Thomas Massie, well, just screaming in general. What did you make of that, hearing him screaming, and you got to do something after the horrific Nashville shooting, and we got to do Republicans, you need to do something. What did you make of all of that screaming?
Well, first, I didn't even know it happened. I was still on the floor because I had an amendment to take care of. Uh-huh. So I didn't even know it happened until last night. Here's what I'll say. This is what the left does. They argue from an emotional standpoint, and they try to bully everybody else into submission based upon their emotions. Look, the shooting in Nashville obviously was a tragedy. But before you just jump out there and try to have your solution, why don't you take a step back and look at the facts and understand exactly what happened? I thought it was messed up. Thomas Massie's a good dude. Thomas tried to take information to him. He didn't want to hear it. He would prefer to yell.
Right.
But what's happening too much in politics is that people assume yelling is legislating and fixing problems. It's not.
Right.
Emotion doesn't solve problems. What solves problems is actually looking at the facts, looking at the data, and then coming up with an actual solution. The left doesn't want to do that.
Right.
They would rather yell and tell everybody to be afraid, and you got to elect me, I'll protect you. But then when their form of protection is, give them all the power, give them all the control. You don't have to worry your pretty little head. They got it, but most of them don't even know what they're talking about to begin with.
Right. Yeah, they don't want to take the time to get the data. They just want to scream and get emotional like you described, and that takes us to bad places. These knee-jerk reactions that people take an opportunity to jump on. I might even bring up the Restrict Act. That's what people are worried about as well. It's like, all right, we're going to ban TikTok, and then all of a sudden you have Democrats and Republicans coming together and saying, hey, we've got a solution. And right there, I worry. And then I hear names like Mark Warner and other names out there, and then I worry. And then all of a sudden you start to read into this, and it's like, well, hold on a second. It's almost as if we're rushing to something that maybe we need to take a little more time and examine and see what it is that they're presenting in this Restrict Act, as opposed to a knee-jerk reaction of, all right, it sounds like everybody's on board with this. We got Republicans and Democrats, so let's do something. Well, wait a minute. Let's not just do something. Let's examine. I mean, you've probably heard about what's going on with the Restrict Act. I wonder what you think about it.
Yeah, I've heard what's going on with it. That bill's crazy. I mean, look, I don't like TikTok. To me, it's easy to ban TikTok. That's a one-page document. But what the Restrict Act does is insane.
Yeah.
And so that's something where, Freedom Caucus members, we started talking about this a couple days ago. That thing's dead. We're not even, basically our push to House leadership is, don't even think about it. Don't even waste your time. That bill's nuts.
Right.
But look, it is indicative of what happens up here on the Hill. If you get, typically here's how it really works. If you get 4 moderate Republicans and 4 Democrats, no matter what side of the aisle they are, people will say, oh, look, it's bipartisan, we have to push it through. No. I mean, look, you can have Republicans and Democrats agree on something, and it's still terrible policy. So I think you have to really take a step back, examine these things, like I said, and then you go from there. Look, here's something, right, real quick, Drew. So obviously, the banks that failed, Silicon Valley Bank. We had a hearing yesterday talking to the vice chairman of the Federal Reserve, a couple other people, trying to examine what was going on. And what was starting to come out, the real facts are, the bank supervisors knew about the issues for 2 years. They knew about the issues for 2 years. Oh. They were trying to get the bank to make adjustments. The bank just said, no, we ain't doing it. So we're at the beginning of our investigations, but the quick knee-jerk reaction, the emotional reaction was, oh my gosh, see, we need more regulation. We have to do universal guarantee for deposits. Folks, no, we don't. What we might need to do is examine the Federal Reserve, examine the supervisory practices, examine Dodd-Frank, which they said would stop too big to fail from ever happening again. But the Democrats' push is to actually cement too big to fail in our financial system. That's their push by their policy, as opposed to examining the reality and then making the necessary adjustments.
Yeah. Well, stories we keep an eye on. Listen, I know you're busy. I know you got to run. I appreciate always our visit on Thursdays, and we look forward to hearing from you next week. All the best. We'll speak soon. Thanks so much.
All right. See you, Drew.
See you.